In episode 5, Daniel continues reading Claudia's diaries, finding that she went on a killing spree after a while, only leaving the bodies in a very, very shallow grave near the sort of pier in New Orleans, and a storm sort of washes them, out of sort of out of the dirt, and people find the bodies, and it gets wider attention, is on newspapers and stuff. And this, of course, brings some extra tension between her and Louis and Lestat, but mostly, Lestat for an extent, for the most part. And after a while, after arguing and all this other stuff, she runs away from home, and Lestat doesn't really care, while Louis is kind of distressed. And Claudia ends up, going to a college to sort of find out more about vampires, and possibly also, finding people to just talk to and relate with. And a little bit later, years have passed, and now it's the Great Depression, and Louis and Lestat are just hunkered down in their house, sort of just ignoring everything that's going on, and just sort of waiting it all out. And Claudia ends up finding a vampire almost her age, or at least, in appearance, more closely. And they start talking and all of this, and after a while they kind of find differences in each other and kind of argue, and it sort of leads to a break in the diary where Daniel notices that there's some pages missing and confronts Louis about that. And both in the actual scene that we see with Claudia and this vampire and everything else, it's easily, implicated that he assaulted her. And Daniel clearly knows that, but he still, is telling Louis that ripping these pages out kind of breaks some of the context, and also might give the idea that he could be keeping other things from him in terms of, all of these pieces of history and such. This leads to an argument getting worse as Louis uses his powers to control Daniel and kind of shake his hand, just like showing him, just how powerful he is. And Louis' servant tries to make him stop, and he kind of does after a bit. Daniel's a bit shaken up after that, but surprisingly not shaken up enough to walk up to Louis and slap him quickly afterward and continue the interview as it's still recording. Then we come back to the 20s, where Claudia decides to come back home and, talk it out with her dads. But things have only, gotten worse as Lestat confronts her and starts, insulting her and all these other things. And Louis is trying to defuse the situation, but it just keeps getting worse. And it leads to the two fighting, not, continuing, the verbal fight, but a all-out vampire brawl in their house. And it gets very bad, and Claudia's trying to stop them, but she can't do much. And this leads to, Lestat flying Louis into the sky, asking him, pleading with him to say that he doesn't love him, as sort of, I guess weird confirmation that he wants, as everything has led to this conclusion. And Louis does not say this at all, but does ask him to let him go, and he definitely listens and drops him onto the concrete ground, sort of in the porch type area within the house, and that's where the episode ends, where Claudia is clearly going to tend to him, and they're gonna have to find some way to deal with Lestat. This was another decent episode. I'm enjoying, the emotion and the tension between Louis Lestat and Claudia. Again, the relationship was never going to be fixed, bringing a child into it, and Lestat makes that clear while still being a complete dick. And I'll admit, I definitely got a little choked up by the end, seeing them all fighting and it getting worse to the point of actual altercation. So I definitely wonder how this is all going to end up in the next episode. I'm going to give episode 5 a 9 out of 10. Pretty good. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to stay tuned for more reviews for Interview with the Vampire. And it's also Halloween, so happy Halloween, all of you, even if you're not really celebrating it much. And I also hope you can take time to like, comment, and subscribe. And have a good day. Goodbye.